Oh, okay.
One more time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One more time. Welcome to Court Reporter Confidential.
A place to talk about all things court reporting, including industry news, technology, best practices, and personal experiences from professionals in the field. So welcome back to Court Reporter Confidential. I'm Stephanie Leslie, and this is Cheryl Haab Scott.
Hello.
We're going towards Cheryl Scott, but we're not there yet. She's still known as Cheryl Haab in some
We're
parts.
in a transition period.
Yes, but thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to have you. So Cheryl and I have worked so closely with DRA and in various, just being in the area, and you've taken jobs for Regal and all kinds of ways that we've bumped into each other. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. And I think on a personal level too, I consider you to be a friend.
Yes. If I didn't say that, I meant that.
Yes. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes. Well, thank you. Cheryl was president of DRA a few years before I was, and I totally looked up to you and respected you, and your poise and as a leader, it was just very inspiring, and I didn't think I could live up to it. So, but that's beyond us now.
Well, you did a great job taking care of my little baby. So thank you very much.
Good. Well, so I just brought you in for a chat. No huge agenda, but I think your story is interesting, and we've both been reporting up approximately the same within 5 or 6 years of each other. So tell me about you and how you found out about court reporting, how you got started. Tell us your story.
Sure. So as most people know, I was a single mom for a long time. I was a young mommy. I had my son at 19. I was a baby myself when I had him. So I spent a good deal of that time when he was small bartending, waiting tables. We were really struggling to get by. But I did tell myself at some point, I said, this is not the way that we need to live our lives. I would like to ultimately find a career. So I promised myself that when Benny, my son, went to kindergarten, that I would try to pursue some kind of meaningful career. But I originally am from Canada, as also most people know. So when I moved here, I did not have a lot of family. I didn't have a great support system for babysitting. So when my son was in kindergarten, I was really, really limited at what kind of schooling I could pursue, because I had to find something where I could pick him up after school. There were after school programs, so we had maybe like a window from like 2 to 6 that I could have him in after school, so I could work in the day, have him in school until maybe 6, pick him up, and then I'd have to be with him for the evening. So that was in maybe like 2007 area. So when I started hunting for schooling, I was really, really limited with options. Online school was really in its infancy, but at that time I worked behind the bar. I dated a guy behind the bar at that time, and he mentioned to me that there was a lady who was coming into the bar on a pretty regular basis, and that she was fabulous. He said, she looks rich and expensive, and she looks relaxed. So I actually questioned whether she was a court reporter, because he said she looked relaxed, and I'm a little dubious.
After she started drinking,
yeah,
perhaps.
exactly. Maybe she just handed in her transcripts, but he said she was really relaxed, and she looked, expensive, and she tells me she's a court reporter, and I said, what's that? So I looked into it, and Bryan College, which unfortunately no longer exists, at that time had started an online program, and it just happened to fit in with my schedule. So I thought, okay, this is actually something I could do, because I could kind of pace myself and do it at home. So I enrolled. And the way the program was at that time, the first couple semesters were literally a chat room. And it was like, write cat, write sat, write hat. Like the teacher would write it in the chat box, and you would write on the machine, or that's how you started your theory. It was so archaic. And then eventually they started getting like a video stream, and this is like 2007 or 8, so it was pretty slow. But I made it. I told myself, okay, this is going to be a couple real tough years. My son, who's 5 or 6, I said, listen, we're going to be pretty miserable for a couple years, but we got to do this, because I can't even buy you shoes. So it was rough times. But anyway, there are many tougher stories out there. I bartended, I raised my son, I went to online school, and it took about 3 years, but I went to the state test in October 2010. I took that, I passed it.
That's impressive to do it in 3 years with that up against you.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of support. So in a way, I try to give myself a pat on the back. I didn't know any reporters. I didn't have any support. I didn't know anybody. So it was really a self-starting kind of mission. I had to kind of figure everything out on my own. It was really before you had the resources like Facebook or Instagram. So I really had nobody to ask. I remember trying to figure out my internship hours. I'm sure you remember this. I just had to call agencies and say, hey, can I sit out and pray that somebody would take a chance on me and hook me up with a job. My first one, I remember that I was supposed to go sit out on was downtown. I'd never driven to downtown LA in my life, or I had no reason to.
It's daunting.
Yes, and I got down there thinking I had given myself plenty of time, and there was a police funeral that day. They had rerouted all traffic. I got rerouted somewhere. I was totally lost. There was no Waze at that time. I didn't make it. I didn't make it to the job. I was so embarrassed. I cried. I cried in my car. I called the agency in tears. They were like, whatever, fine. They didn't care.
Yeah.
At
least you weren't the working reporter.
Exactly. To me, it was the biggest deal in the world, but they just kind of laughed. So that was my first interning experience. It was pretty humiliating. I never made it there. But I mostly did it on my own. So that's really how I got started. And it's funny because I ask my son now, he's 23, and I say, do you remember a time when I wasn't a court reporter? And he's like, kind of. It was very, very vague memories for him. So to him, I've just always been doing this job.
Right. And you've been reporting, you said 15 years?
15 years. So since the very end of 2010, because I got licensed, or I took the test in October 2010, and then there's that that interminable wait. I remember getting my results. It was like December 10th or something of 2010. So I took like 2 jobs before the end of the year.
Okay.
And mostly started in 2011, but the very end of 2010 is when I started.
Cool. That's so cool. Yeah. Exactly 15 years.
Yeah, pretty
right
much.
now.
Yeah. In fact, today is the 4th. So in a couple days will be my anniversary of getting my letter.
That's so cool. And tell me, you were stalking the post office.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I was.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes, please.
My mother was in town. I'd had a relative pass away, so my mom had come into town to visit, to attend the funeral. It was kind of a distant relative, so it wasn't like a really traumatic time, but we went shopping. I lived in Simi Valley at the time.
Okay.
And my mom, but the relative was in LA proper. So we were in Glendale shopping, and I knew the letter was coming that day. All my friends were getting their letters, and I'm in Glendale, and my post office, or my mailbox is in Simi Valley, and I'm like, Mom, I've got to get home. And she's like, oh, I want to go shopping in Glendale. I'm like, no, let me go home to my mailbox. And my roommates at home saying, do you want me to open the mail? I'm like, no, I need to do this myself. So it was funny. We went to Panda Express that day, and my mom opened a fortune cookie, and she reads it, and it says, very soon someone will make you very proud, which gave me goosebumps, right? I'm like, okay. So we get home, and I just run to the mailbox, and I open the letter, and I just saw congratulations.
That's all you need to see, that one word.
Yeah. And the first person I called actually was my dad, because he had really helped me get through school. He had helped me pay for some of it, and I had taken out student loans, but he had helped me pay for a lot of it. And I was the first person I called. So I called my dad. I just sat on the ground because my mailbox was like kind of detached. It was on the outside. So I just sat on the ground. I cried, and I called my dad, and he passed away last year, but sometimes I think, maybe he'll be celebrating that anniversary with me.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'll think of him in a few days when that happens.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you became a reporter, and did you start off slow?
Oh my gosh. Very slow.
Okay, because that's generally the way,
Absolutely.
Some get thrown into the fire.
Oh, yeah. I was not one of those people. I think that reporters today have they're very blessed because they're walking out into an environment that is so incredibly busy, where you really have the pick of the litter. I'm sure when you got out, it was similar to the environment in which I graduated. When I was in school, it was understood that you would not work in court, because I was in school in the era of the Jerry Brown layoff, where we were in a major deficit. So all the civil reporters had been laid off. there was a hiring freeze in court. So it was understood you would not work in court. You knew you were going to be a depot reporter.
And they had a requirement that you had to work at least 6 months in depots, I think, before you could even be considered.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Or at least it used to be. I don't know.
When I got out of school, you couldn't even be hired. There was just a complete freeze.
Yeah.
And I think that anybody, if they needed to fill spaces, they had a backlog of the laid off officials that would be brought in first. So I knew I was going to be a depot reporter. And I remember calling up one agency in particular, and I said, I'm a new court reporter. I was just licensed. And they're like, no thanks. We're not interested. Sometimes they ask me to cover jobs, and I'm like, not interested. Not really my kind of work. That's more why. But nobody wanted to work with you if you were a new reporter, because there was not a lot of work, and there was a lot of reporters that had just flooded the market. And if you were new, nobody was really interested. So almost just by happenstance, I had to take it slow. You really had to take scraps. So I lived in Simi Valley, and I would just do whatever, go wherever, take whatever. There was no per diem. If I was in Simi Valley and they wanted me in Long Beach, I got paid $0 to drive to Long Beach. It didn't matter if it took me 3 hours. You just went.
And you're happy for the work.
You didn't even ask what the job was. You didn't see the caption. You didn't know anything. You just showed up. And you were just like, okay, I'm here.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's what you did. So that's how I started. I remember the first time I took 2 jobs in one day, and I made like $600. And I was like, this is the most unbelievable day of my life. I was in tears. I was so hysterically glad. It was the most amazing thing that had ever happened to me. It was like, it was a very different time.
Yeah.
So I started very slow, and honestly, I did not make really any money doing this job for maybe the first 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I really was just taking small work. I would have considered myself a very run-of-the-mill reporter. Just took regular jobs, and
so that was maybe 10 years ago on the back end of that 5 years. So what has changed? Because my understanding is you are not a run-of-the-mill reporter any longer. So how have you gotten yourself to this point, other than that there's a shortage? But I know it's more than that. I know it's probably skill and certifications. And tell me what you attribute that to.
I think a lot of things. I'd like to think I'm not a run-of-the-mill reporter.
You're not.
I hope nobody thinks I am. I think there was a marriage of a lot of things that happened. The first one truly is DRA. I got involved with DRA very early on, and that brought a lot of mentors into my life, a lot of really, really amazing people. Tony Pallone, Monine Black, Sue Campana, Vicky Saber, Holly Moose, just powerhouses, reporters from whom I learned so much. Not just about Realtime, but about reporting as a business, about skill, about certifications, about legislation, about the codes. And that breadth of knowledge, I think, just made me more marketable. I think it made me a better reporter. It made me a more knowledgeable person. I think when I walked into depositions, I had an air about me that maybe instilled more confidence in the client that made them want me to come back. So, I mean, there was that. I think that by virtue of my board service, so I started serving on the board of DRA when I had been reporting for 1 year.
Wow.
Yes.
You and Molly and Sarah, there are so many. And by the way, I should have defined, because we may have listeners all over the country. So I should define that our DRA is the Deposition Reporters Association of California.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And say that we have 2 main associations here in California. We have the California Court Reporters Association, which is more of an umbrella organization that covers court reporters that are officials in court, depot reporters, CART, the whole breadth of reporting skills. And then DRA, which is a more boutique agency that is tailored to deposition reporting.
Correct.
So by virtue of my being a depot reporter, knowing that I had no choice but to be a depot reporter, I got involved with them quite early in my student career. And I guess the powers that be liked me, and I got involved pretty early. And by the time I had been serving, or been reporting for about a year, I had been asked if I wanted to interview for a board spot. And I was like, okay, sure. I showed up to the interview. It went well. And at the end of the day, they said, you're young and you haven't been reporting very long. Maybe you'd do better on a couple committees. I was like, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be a great choice. 2 weeks later, I get an email. Congratulations, you've been selected to serve on our board. I was like, what? What? I didn't agree to this. So I had been working for a big box agency at that time because it was one of the few that would work with me. I wrote to them. I said, I have been chosen to serve on the DRA board. I don't feel comfortable working for a big agency. I think it would be inappropriate. I'd like to try my hand at working with smaller companies and supporting CSR-owned agencies. They did not like that. They said, I do not see in any way how working with DRA will be beneficial to your career. Good luck with that.
Oh.
So anyway, so I stopped working with them because I was on staff with them. And then I started working with more DRA CSR-owned agencies. So there was that. Then I began a journey towards certification. I did get my RPR before I got my CSR.
Okay.
Which I thought was a really, really helpful path for anybody who can pursue that path.
And that's the national certification.
Exactly.
As opposed to the state.
It's your entry level. Well, now we have the RSR, which is a tier below RPR, but in terms of working, I think you really would need your RPR, which is your basic entry level certification to work nationally. I think that it's a good idea to work towards getting that because you're in testing mode while you're in school. Why not just conquer that? Yeah. I think it's a little bit harder than the CSR personally.
Me too.
Do you
I've
agree?
always thought that.
Yes, I think it is. I think that Q&A is tough. So
because it is 25 words per minute faster.
Yes.
While it's only 2 voice. So some people struggle with the speaker identifications. That wasn't so much my problem. It was the speed. So
exactly.
Yeah, for me.
I remember taking that test and it was back, you took it the same way, I'm sure, where you had to take it all in person at once. And I thought I did terribly. And I remember transcribing it and I was so sure it was terrible. And I was like, this doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. And I kept working on it. And by that time, the deadline for handing it in was coming up. I said, this test really doesn't look so bad. And I passed it by like 4 points. But I said, hey, a pass is a pass. I'll take it. So I had that. And then Monine Black, who a lot of people know, she was president of DRA just before me and unfortunately passed away in 2021. She was on a certification journey that she unfortunately was never able to complete. So that was something that I decided to kind of take up.
In her honor?
Yeah. It's not something I ever thought I would do. It wasn't something I cared about, but when she got sick and it became kind of obvious that we were going to either lose her or that she wouldn't get back to it, I thought, you know what, that's something I can do to honor my friend. So that's something I took up. And I said, if there's a certification, I will get it. And so I did it.
Yep.
So I did it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get my RMR. So I got it. And I'm going to get my RDR. And I got it.
And what's the highest speed in those?
260, I think. They don't have a higher one. I would have tried, but that was it. And then I got my CCRR, and then I got my CRR, and I was like, okay, I guess
and
there's
those are the
nothing
real-time ones.
Yeah, so I got the real-time ones. And then I guess I could get like the CRI or the captioning one, but I'm like, oh, I'm not a captioner. Maybe I'll just do it for kicks. There's nothing left to get. So they need to invent another one so I can get another one.
There you go.
So I think that was really helpful. I also got to be honest with you. I was broke. I was tired of not making money. I didn't like the job. I felt like I worked really hard and didn't make any money. I actually just stopped reporting for like 2 or 3 months. And I just drove an Uber.
Did you?
It was right when Uber started. I was like, I hate this job. It's not fun. It's too much work. I hate it. I'm just going to drive an Uber.
Burnt out.
So I did. I was really burnt out. So I was driving Uber for like 2 months. And wow, I got to tell you, don't be a woman driving an Uber. Every creepy man on the planet got in my car. I had men asking me to drive them to Mexico and wanting to get married and all kinds of crazy things. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this. And I don't make any money anyway. So that reminded me I should just go back to my actual job. This is dumb and I need to do it better. So that reminded me I could make money at this job. I'm just doing everything wrong.
Okay.
So I decided I'm not a stenographer, I'm a business. And I have to figure out, how do you make money at being a business? I've got to become a better court reporter. I've got to become a better businesswoman. I have to offer more services. I have to be more capable. And that involves offering Realtime. That involves being Realtime certified. That involves working smarter, not harder. Taking on more expedites in Realtime instead of more pages. And I've got to tell you, flipping that switch, I doubled my income in 1 year.
Wow. That's cool.
And I did that for 2 or 3 years in a row, doubled my income.
Okay.
And I do not think I've ever had a year where I've made less money. Maybe this year actually, but maybe like a hair's breadth. But like, I've really always made more money because I told myself, this is a business.
Yeah.
A lot of us have the skill to write on the machine. So what is going to set us apart to be a more successful court reporter? And a lot of that is our business acumen. It's our customer service. It's our skill above and beyond the basic skill set of writing on the machine. So I think flipping those switches, gaining the knowledge, offering the additional services, finding my passion for reporting again after discovering that maybe the other side of the fence is not so great. It was a lot of things, right? And realizing like, I want to put away money for retirement. I want to travel. I want to do all these things. I want a Louis Vuitton purse. What do I want? And how am I going to get it? And it occurred to me that this career can unlock a lot of doors if you use it in the right way. So I think it was a whole breadth of things that contributed to success. And it made me fall in love with reporting again.
Yeah.
So it was a long road.
Yes, I didn't realize all of that. I'm so excited to know. And I'm really glad you touched on, just because you have a basic license or the entry level skill does not necessarily entitle you to all the bells and whistles and all the amazing income potential that we've heard about, right? We've been touting court reporting as a fantastic career, which it is. It has the potential to be, right? But
absolutely.
But your story shows us that it's not a given.
It is absolutely not a given. And that's an interesting segue into money and rates.
Yeah.
You think about, for example, working at a corporation. And let's say you start in an entry-level position and you're paid a salary and you're new. So you get X number of dollars. And the more experience you have, the more certifications you get, versus if you're an MBA versus having a BA, you're going to be paid more money. Unfortunately, because we work in a different kind of industry, anybody can set any rate. We work as independent contractors, so we have a free and fair and open market to charge whatever the market will bear. And the market has borne a lot, especially lately. Not all will agree, but I think that unfortunately we have a lot of entry-level reporters walking into the profession charging non-entry-level rates. And we have to also remember there needs to be room for growth in rates, and our rate schemes have to reflect our level of skill. And I think you have to remember, if you're walking into the profession as a brand new CSR, your fee schedule should not mirror that of an RDR that's been working 15, 20, 30 years. And if it does, then one of you is wrong. One of you needs to reevaluate your rate schedule, because it's just simply not how things should be. And if you are out there offering real-time services and you're not certified, then maybe your rate should be a little bit lower than the person who is real-time certified. It doesn't mean that you can't offer those services, but we also have to remember that the skill sets that are acquired through something like licensure have to be rewarded with something. And and the problem is really the only requirement these days to fill a job in California is a license and a pulse. But I really wish that we would look more at licensure for covering jobs and making sure that the appropriate CSR is covering the appropriate kind of job, because at the end of the day, with AI and other methodologies beating down the door, if we're sending the wrong people to jobs that are not able to cover them with the right skill set, it looks bad for everybody.
It does. You're right.
And I don't ever want to discourage a new reporter from trying to better themselves and to try to reach for more difficult work. We all have to do it. We're always going to walk into jobs every once in a while where we feel like we're a little bit over our head, but we have to take those steps cautiously and with our brethren in mind, right? For posterity, every job that we take, we have to consider that we're the face of our industry every day when we walk into the career, when we walk into a deposition. And every time that I'm a bad court reporter, all of us are bad court reporters. So we have an obligation to each other and to this industry to be the best that we can be every day, because that's what's going to keep us ahead of AI. That's what's going to keep us ahead of digital, is being better.
Right.
The reason that AI and digital and all of these methodologies have, become pervasive is not because we're not good at what we do. It's because we're so scarce. If there were more of us, I don't even think that any of these methodologies would have flooded the market.
Right.
But we don't have a choice. And I truly empathize with attorneys trying to cover their proceedings. At the end of the day, they have a client that they're responsible for, that they're beholden to. They need to get these jobs covered. And at the end of the day, they just need a transcript.
Yeah.
And even if it's a slightly inferior transcript, that's what they need.
It's better than nothing, is what they're thinking.
So I can't fault them for choosing a methodology that isn't us if we are not available, if we are too good to show up in person, if we are too expensive for their small client.
Right.
It's no wonder that what has happened in our industry has happened largely because of the dynamic we've created. So it's not a popular stance, but I think that we have to be cautious about how we price ourselves. I make a lot of money, but I also have to temper that with there are other methods in place that are right behind me, that cost way less than me, that can make a product that is not quite as good as what I do, but for some, it might be just good enough.
Yeah.
So I always try to keep that in mind at the end of the day.
Right. And one other thing, branch off of that subject, is the longevity. You mentioned it kind of indirectly, but thinking about the people behind us and around us, our brethren, as you called it, and we need to think about the longevity, even for ourselves, even if you want to be a little bit selfish about it. I mean, if you're about to retire, who cares, right? Burn the place down. But for the rest of us, we want this career to still be in existence. And so we do need to proceed cautiously. I liked that way of saying it, because it's not a guarantee.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, as we've established, for many of you who don't know, Stephanie is much older than me.
Much.
24 days. But, we're both kind of in the middle of our working lives. I am not the kind of person who is gunning to retire at 65. I like to keep busy. I don't know that I will retire at 65 or even 70. One thing I love about this job is I could really, really slow down. I could take one depot a week. I could take a workers' comp depot, whatever. I can slow down in a way that maybe my husband can't. He has to hang up his hat at some point doing what he does. For me, I can drastically reduce my work. So I do want this career to be around for a long time, but not just for me. And I know that you're similar to me in the sense that I care about the people coming up behind me.
Yeah.
Because when we go to a school event, when we go to a career fair and we promote this job, I want to be able to truthfully look a potential student in the eye and say, there is a career for you. You will not be replaced. We are important. We are integral to the legal profession. Yeah. And how can I say that with any assurance if we're dismantling our necessity in this industry by costing ourselves out of the market, by refusing to show up to jobs in person, by refusing to provide things like rough drafts and expedites? So at the end of the day, I try to be a yes person. Mm-hmm. I rarely take remote jobs. Mm-hmm. I try to take mostly in-person jobs because we need bodies in the seat. Yeah. I don't say no to rough drafts. I don't say no to expedites. And that's a luxury that I have because I have a good skill set that can turn things around. I understand that some people may not have that skill set to be able to, I had a job yesterday, I told you earlier before we started, and I didn't know, but they said, okay, we want this tomorrow. And that's something I can do because I have confidence in my skill. And that took a while. 10 years ago, could I have done that? Maybe not, without advance notice. But if we're not able to provide those things, then why are we even here? Right. So at the end of the day, I think that just being better than the competition is what is always going to set us apart, and what's going to ensure that all of these people who are coming into the industry now are going to have a job in 30 years. Mm-hmm. I love what we do. I'm proud of what we do. I think it's the best secret that nobody knows about. What a great career. And I want it to exist. I don't want it to be like some old time career that people say, oh, remember when they used to have those people on the machine? I don't want that. I want it to be around.
Yeah, that would be so sad. Yeah. And I'll just harken back real quick to a topic we said earlier, and that is, you were talking about newer reporters. It's just right that they would almost have to earn their stripes and, maybe should just get a lower price point because they're new. Well, from my perspective as an agency owner, when I send a Cheryl Scott to a job, I know that if they do order that expedite or they do order that rough, you're going to be able to deliver it. So that gives me so much calm and so much reassurance that they are taken care of. I don't have to worry about that job at all. Now, the person over here, I'm gritting my teeth and hoping that they don't order something. So there, just that peace of mind, I'm paying for that. I'm willing to pay a little extra because of that. And that's just a side note that I meant to say earlier.
Oh, well, that is a great compliment, especially coming from you, somebody that I also in turn very much admire and respect. I like the idea that I can instill confidence in people. I want to be the kind of reporter where when I'm sent on a job, I know that the agency owner is not gritting their teeth and worrying. I also want to say to new reporters, if any new reporters are watching this, that I never want a new reporter to feel like us middle guard or old guard or gatekeeping jobs or rates or skills. I never want that to be the intent. Right. I am always cheerleading for this next generation to come up. It means a lot to me. I have a son that's 23. I love Gen Z coming up and being successful. I want that more than anything. But I also recognize that in order for this profession to thrive, stripes have to be earned, as you say. So those rates do have to be earned, and certain types of jobs and certain skill sets do have to be earned. Just because you can provide real time and make more money, it doesn't mean you should be doing it. So for example, if you were going to start providing real time, you need to have a really long and hard look at your real time writing and decide whether it is appropriate to offer as a value added service. And that doesn't mean it has to be perfect. Correct. With a beautiful red bow on it. It just means it has to be of the caliber that it is worth charging for, because real time is expensive. And when we cheapen real time, it cheapens it for all of us. And I got to tell you, I go to jobs sometimes and let's say real time is ordered. So I give it to one attorney, and then I ask the attorney who didn't order, would you like to have real time? And can I tell you how often they say to me, no, because I can never read it. No. And I always say, give me a chance. Give me a chance to show you what I can do. Yeah. And every once in a while I get them to take me up on it, and they go, I could read all your real time. I say, well, look at that. And I say, you want the rough? It will be even better. And my favorite thing to say to an attorney at the end, they say, well, I need a rough. We'll be at the end of the day. I need a rough. It could be a real rough. And I look at them, I say, it won't be. And then they say, well, when can I get it? And I say, well, how about now? And then they're like, what? And I love that feeling of being able to say that to them. And then they look at
mic drop.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I got you. I got you. I say, I'm going to get this to you even before I walk out this door. And they just look mind blown. And I can't tell you how many times, especially let's say in a multi-day proceeding, where they're so grateful for that. Because you got to think about what these guys are doing. We're so busy worrying about what we're doing that we need to remember what they're doing. They're preparing to impeach tomorrow's witness. They want a mic drop on the next witness. Well, guess what you said yesterday and what you're telling me today? Those are totally dichotomous. I've caught you in a lie. And guess how they can do that? With our rough draft from yesterday.
Only if they can read it.
Exactly. If they can't read it, then they can't do anything with it. We've got to give them products that they can use. And if they're not usable products, then why are we selling them?
Right.
So,
and because we are a service industry. You mentioned that earlier.
Exactly.
And attitude and professionalism, that's so huge.
Exactly. And that's what, it's funny because, as you know, I got married some years ago and I had to introduce my husband. This is always a fun thing when you meet court reporters who are dating and you have to teach your partner about what court reporting is. And he's like, oh, I thought you were a civil servant making like 40 grand a year. I'm like, well, surprise. But I had to teach him about this industry and he's always amazed. He's like, you are truly a business. I have a business card. I have a business email. I walk into a room and I shake everyone's hand. I'm friendly. I get there before everyone. I leave after everyone. At the end of the day, you need to be that consummate professional. You need them to walk into the room and they don't know if you're the attorney or the court reporter. I just think professionalism at every turn is important. You need to know how to read a room. Do they all want to chat about the game last night? Or is he deeply embroiled in his notes and he does not want to talk?
Yeah.
You have to read the room. You have to know how to navigate things. You have to know how to gracefully and intelligently interrupt where you're not totally destroying a witness's thought pattern. You have to anticipate needs. When you hear them chatting beforehand that trial's in 4 days, then you have to say to yourself, okay, this is going to be expedited. I need to start thinking about this like an expedite. Being 2 steps ahead of them every step of the way is what makes us better than a tape recorder or AI or digital,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. And so that's just how I think about it at the end of the day. We care. AI doesn't care. Doesn't care if it gets it right. Doesn't care if it's expedited. We care. So I always try to keep that in mind. That's how I'm going to stay employed and relevant and requested.
Right. Love that. What advice do you have? I mean, we've already given lots of advice about business and getting started, but to a new reporter, is there any tips or anything that you wish you had known when you started?
There's a few things I say to reporters when they ask me for advice. I think they get a lot of advice. The first advice I give almost every reporter I meet has nothing to do with reporting. I always say, when you start this job, you need to move your body. Every day. Every day. I will lecture.
Is that why I can't bend my neck anymore?
I will lecture anyone who will listen. You will have a short career if you do not find some way to move every day, whether it's a walk or your treadmill or lifting some weights or wrestling with your dog or whatever it is. If you don't do a little bit of moving every day and a little bit of stretching, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it. I really think that's the recipe to a long career. So I always tell people that, neck stretches, finger stretches, walking, exercise, light weights. If you don't do it, it's like the first year is the freshman 15. And we have a very sedentary job.
Well, in a way. Like we sit, but we're also tensed up.
Yes.
It's like the recipe for perfect disaster. And I've learned this the hard way. because I did not move for
gosh.
years and years and years.
And you
and
learn.
I am paying for it. Oh,
Yes, you certainly do. And I don't know if you have this experience, but whenever I go to get a massage, they're like, oh my God, you're so tight. They start yelling at me about like my neck and my shoulders. And I'm like, listen, I sit like this all day long. So,
and who knows what position I'm in by the end of it. Like
exactly.
when they're speaking 300, I'm like,
or do you ever think about like you're not even thinking about it and you're sitting there and you realize you're just holding your shoulders like this. So I always tell people, do the opposite of what we do this all day. So any chance you have to go like this, put your shoulders back, do it. I tell people move. You've got to move. I'm not telling you to run a marathon. I'm not telling you to put 300 pounds over your head, but you have to move. So I tell every new reporter that find what you love to do in terms of exercise, play tennis, pickleball, Zumba, whatever it is, but you need to find a way to make that a non-negotiable in your life or you're gonna have a real short career. So that's one thing I tell them. I also tell them you're gonna spend a heck of a lot more time on your computer than you ever will on your machine. So learn your software, get yourself a trainer right away. Get them to teach you.
it will pay for itself.
Yes, dividends.
Yes.
Auto indexing. Learn all of the tips and tricks you can.
Do you know how long I went without auto indexing?
I still need to do arbitration auto indexing,
Me
which
too,
is I think a lot of people.
I went 10 or 11 years.
I think I did too.
Manually doing it.
I think I did too.
Yeah.
I think I did it during COVID, so it must have been about 10 years.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, it took me a long time. So
Yeah. Because
auto index.
it costs a couple $100 to have someone set it up for you. But the hours saved. Oh boy.
And the next time you get that 50, 60 exhibit job, you are so grateful that you did it. So absolutely, it just saves you so much hassle learning your software. And honestly, I hope that like StenoCAD isn't watching this, but if you can get on one of the big 2 softwares, it will just save you in terms of looking for Scopus later on down the road. I can't tell you how many friends I have who started on those the minor softwares and they can't find Scopus. They're like, I have one Scopus and she died. And now I have to scope my own work because there's literally not another one that exists. So like, I hate to say it, but just if you're not on one of the big 2, you will have a real hard time finding a Scopus. So that's another thing I say.
And by the way, Scopus come in handy later when you need those expedites, those quick turnarounds, and that will save you so much. And because a lot of times I couldn't commit to something next day or same day or whatever without that. And so, that's huge.
Absolutely. So for me, I had to find a scopist. I actually have 2 scopists, mother and daughter.
Oh.
And I just use them for absolutely everything because if I keep them busy, they stay with me. They stay loyal to me.
And then you get your weekends and nights back.
Absolutely. And it's worth a little bit extra that I pay them to scope everything to just know they're always available. Yep. And that way, no matter what, when it's a next day expedite, I'm not like, oh, I'm not sure. I have to see if I can get it. No, I'm just like, sure, we got it. We got it.
You already have
We're
someone
fine.
built in.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. So to me, that is worth its weight in gold. I am busy. I like having my life. I love having no transcripts. This is a wonderful feeling.
Do you know how many times I get asked by reporters, so you hardly look at your job after? Like, and I don't know what your routine is, but I clean it up. I put in my spellings, put on the caption pages, and I send it to my scopist. And she sends it back to me. I look for her marks and I send it to my proofreader. And I hardly look at it. And the reason is because, number one, I'm writing clean from the beginning, right? Number 2, I've been working with the same people that I trust. And I know if she missed something, my proofreader will get it or vice versa.
Exactly.
So people just cannot, it's a control thing. We were taught in school to be very anal retentive and very exact, which is great. But if you hold on to that, ooh, talk about burnout.
Yes, and every single transcript, no matter what you do with it, is going to have an error. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that. Don't ever look at your transcript again like a week after you hand it in. There's an error. I promise you. You will find it. And you'll find it the second you look at it.
Yep.
Another tip I got at one point from a friend of mine, which is fantastic. If you have the patience, it does take a little while. you can cut and paste your transcript into Google Docs and spell check it.
Oh, yes.
It will find some real gnarly things that CaseCat or Eclipse spell check does not find.
Or even maybe Grammarly too.
Yeah, like you, your. For example, let's say you wrote you, your. Like, because those are two different words, at least CaseCat spell check won't pick them up. If it was you, it would pick it up. But because they're two words, it won't pick it up. It will pick up things like that.
Wow.
It will pick up little things like if I wrote like, I'm trying to think of an example. Just like if it ended in ly instead of ty, you know, alternately instead of alternatively. That's not a good example, but something like that. It will find little variations where it will flag things. So that's a really great way to find small mistakes. It does try to make suggestions because it thinks that you're a creative writer that are funny. Sometimes it will in a video read on where they're like, the deponent today is John Smith. It will try to change it to the main character, which I always think is so funny. Sometimes I want to change it. The main character today is John Smith, but funny. But you can pick and choose, obviously, which suggestions you take. I have found some errors where I'm like, holy moly, I never would have found this.
That's
everyone
a great
missed
tip.
it.
I've never done that.
Yeah. Do it with an old one and you'll cry.
No, don't
do it. You'll cry. But honestly, especially for a next day expedite, I was on a really big case this year, and the first 6 months of this year, I think every single day was the next day expedite for like 6 months.
No.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was really brutal.
You made some dough.
Yeah, it was crazy. It really paid for almost my whole year.
Wow.
Huge case, but it really was important because I actually like to proofread things if I can. If it's more than a few days expedite, I'll try and proofread it. And then I have a Scopus and then proofreader, and I proofread it. I like to, but only if I have time. I also have learned to let things go if I have to. But that Google spell check, I'm telling you, it finds some crazy things. So pro tip, try it out.
So you cut and paste it into Google Doc?
Yes, into Google Docs.
Okay.
And then you run the spell check from there. Usually I'll try and do it on a separate device so I can have my transcript here, and then I'll have Google Docs there. I would say if you don't have periods after your Q&A, if you're going to paste it in, have them, because it doesn't like A without a period. So it will flag every single A that has no period. So it will drive you crazy. It will make the spell check take forever. So I have like a layout that just puts periods after the Q&A.
I see.
But anyway, pro tip, it has found a lot of very tiny, those little, we call them blackheads, the transcript blackheads. It finds them and extracts them.
I like it.
Yes, it's just a final little polish. Just polish it up.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
There's your pro tip of the day.
Thank you. I'm learning in this.
I don't want to take credit for that one. That was my friend Lindsay Stoker.
Oh, Stoker,
Yeah.
yes.
Very smart woman.
Okay, so just some fun questions. So favorite brief. I've heard one of yours, but I'm curious if you're going to say the same one.
Ooh, favorite brief. I like SMOLT, simultaneous colloquy, or simultaneous.
Ooh.
Yeah. Simultaneous SMOLT is a good one.
I do that in 2 strokes.
Yeah. So SMOLT is a good one. Oh, GIN's contingency is another one. GINT contingent. Those ones save me. There's another one that has really been saving me lately. KUS, contemporaneous.
Ooh,
Yes.
I write that out.
It's a
so
horrible.
long.
It's a horrible word, and I always misstroke it. KUS, contemporaneous.
Ooh, it hasn't come up enough for me to.
Oh, I feel like
be
it
annoyed.
comes up.
But when
But
it
every time
does-
it comes up, I'm like, no. So finally,
Mine's
KUS.
4 strokes, girl.
Yeah, yeah. It's so many strokes. KUS, contemporaneous.
Okay, because unless I use that for customer, I have to look. No, I do commer.
I do
commer.
Oh, there you go. See?
Okay, KUS.
Yeah, try it.
All right. Well, thank you.
That's a good one.
And then, what about your favorite tool or efficiency hack?
My favorite thing.
Ooh, no hesitation.
Oh, no hesitation. It is not an electronic. It is the PC table tote. Go on Amazon. It is a very small table with telescoping legs. I put it off to the side. Another pro tip. If there is a drink on the table, you will spill it. And it will spill on your computer, on your exhibits. I put the little table to the side. All my drinks go on it. No drinks on the table.
And it's not too heavy to carry?
Oh, it is so light.
Okay.
It must weigh a pound or 2, and it folds up. It's maybe the size of a laptop.
Okay.
So I tuck it in my bag,
Worth
and the telescoping legs fold into the back of the table.
Oh.
I have 2 of them because I'm so afraid that if one of them breaks, that I won't have another.
They won't make it anymore or something.
Yeah, that exactly. So I literally have a backup, but it's never broken on me. I've had it for like 10 years.
Wow.
So I just have the backup just waiting there just in case.
Maybe we should put the link for that in the comments.
I think we should.
Okay.
It is a fantastic product. I know Mike Miller uses it too. He had it in his seminar, and I wanted to be like, I had it first. I don't know who had it first, but I feel like I did because I've had it for so long. So I want to take credit for it, but I don't know. Maybe he did.
Wow.
I really don't know.
Do you still use your Dymo label printer?
Okay, I have recently broken up with it.
Okay.
For a couple reasons. I was upset because it only takes white labels now with the new one, the 550.
Okay.
They don't, if you buy the off-brand labels, the yellow or any other color, it will not print them. There's a little hack. If you have a spool from the actual legit Dymo, you can hold it next to the Dymo and it will sense it and it will print the labels, but that's a lot of effort. I'm not doing that.
Hilarious.
It's so heavy. It malfunctions all the time. I finally was like, I'm done with it. I bought a very small label printer.
Okay.
It is wireless. You control it from your phone. It has its own set of challenges.
Okay.
But
As all technology does.
yes, I'll show it to you after this. It has adorable layouts. It makes a cute little jingly noise when it prints. So I really try to print the labels on break. I say, hey, do you have a sense of how many exhibits you think you're going to mark until the next break? More than 10, 15? Give me a ballpark. And then I'll print some out on the break. And that way I have them. So I wanted it because I wanted to use labels that were colored that would stand out on paper. Unfortunately, I have discovered that for some reason, you would think the label's reason for being is to be removed from the backing. For some reason, all the colored labels are so hard to get off the backing that I stopped using them, and now I'm using white labels again. So
you may as well just kept your Dymo.
but they're very cute. So,
But it sounds like it's more compact than the
it
Dymo.
is. It's very tiny.
That's
it's
my
like
big
this.
problem with the Dymo is
Yeah,
it's just bulky.
huge.
It's
huge.
necessarily heavy, but it's just bulky and it kind
Yes.
of opens and flops
I need
around.
to show you this one. I don't have it with me, but
Okay.
it's like this. It's like a hamburger.
Ooh.
It's the size of a hamburger.
Like
That's
a
what I would
hot
describe
spot,
it.
like a...
It's a little bigger than I would literally describe it as like the size of an In-N-Out hamburger.
Okay.
That is the best description I can
Okay.
give you of its size. I don't know if you eat In-N-Out hamburgers,
yeah?
but that is my best description.
Okay.
Maybe even a cheeseburger.
Okay.
But it's
Double.
it's like this. Yeah, not a
Okay.
double. It's not that big.
Okay,
It's
okay.
like this. It's like, but you don't have to plug it in. You can charge it, so you don't. It doesn't always. And I've really rarely have to charge it. And you can program it. It's a little. It's not as functional as the Dymo software. You have to learn how to use it. It's not as user friendly,
Okay.
but once you know how to use it, it works fine. And you can make all kinds of designs on it, and you can use it for personal use too. You can make like little Christmas labels. It's very cute. I'll show you the interface because you do it from your cell phone. So you don't do it from
From an app or something, right?
Yeah, so it's
That's
pretty
cool.
cool.
All right. Well, so what are you optimistic about for the court reporting profession in the next 5 to 10 years? What?
Well, I was very excited that this recent bill was abandoned by its author. What is
This is
it?
a California bill,
Yes,
1189.
1189. So that was a bill, for those of you who aren't in California, that threatened to license digital reporters in California, digital recorders, I will call them, in California.
And transcriptionists.
And transcriptionists. So it
with
was
no tests necessarily.
It was interesting because it would have created a dynamic where digitals and transcriptionists would have been licensed in California to preside over depositions, and you would have had potentially 2 people performing that function in a licensed capacity. The author chose not to, or not the author, the sponsor chose not to sponsor the bill ultimately, and I think maybe they have until the end of the year to pick up a new sponsor. We're hoping that won't happen. I was optimistic that was abandoned by the sponsor. I don't know for what reason. I would like to know, but that gave me some hope because I was a little bit nervous about that. It makes me wonder if he saw the good of it.
Well, often they just don't understand the detriments and the pitfalls of that. Because
Exactly.
A friend of mine who's in the assembly originally was wooed by the authors or whoever was trying to get him to sponsor it, and I had to talk some sense into him, and he pulled out, and then this other guy took up.
Yes.
But what's really important, even though this is only a California bill, is California usually leads the way nationally. So if we do something, many states are liable to follow suit. So.
I think that's very true. So I'm very hopeful that may discourage others from following suit. I am really, really optimistic about the uptake in licensure. Big thanks to voice reporters.
Yeah.
They really have saved the day. I know that, sometimes we've not always seen eye to eye, and I wish that we would all do better to sing Kumbaya. But I'm very grateful to them, because I really think that it would be very difficult to make a case for our continued usage in legal proceedings if voice writers had not come to the rescue. So I'm very appreciative for that. I'm appreciative that we are filling gaps. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more reporters who have accepted their fate and are showing up in person.
Good.
I'm a little frustrated because I just heard that apparently carpool privileges have been revoked for electric cars for December. And I got to tell you, I made my first commute yesterday downtown, and it was horrific. And I'm hoping that was just a coincidence, but that did make me a little pessimistic. But I'm hoping that maybe that is not going to continue. I hope it was just a coincidence. But I feel good about the direction of the profession. I think we have a lot of really bright young stars coming in. I'm really excited when I see these, like we went to the student picnic recently. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, DRA holds a picnic for students in court reporting school, and we just had that a couple weeks ago.
To encourage them and network and meet them. And by the way, just a side note, a lot of these students, they're on online programs.
Yes, so they never meet anybody.
Correct. And they're like, oh, you go to my school. Oh, right. I recognize your name from
And they've never
Zoom.
even talked to other court reporters or met other students. And there were so many people there.
Yeah.
And there were so many bright, fun, interesting people. And it was very inspiring. And it every time I go to one of those events, it brings back the nostalgia of being a student and how exciting it was and how inspired I was to meet a reporter. And if I can just give a little bit of that excitement to one of those students and just inspire somebody just a little bit to continue on their student journey, then I feel like my work is done. I went to, my first event was the student picnic. We used to call it the barbecue back then, even though we never barbecued anything.
Right.
So at some point I made an executive decision to rename it the student picnic. That was me. I want to take credit for
There
that.
you go. Big changes at DRA.
Yes, I said, we're renaming this. Very important, very important logistical change. So I went to one. It was back in the day when Ludwig and Klein would host it at their event. Actually, maybe they did barbecue something there, so maybe I take it back. But I remember there was a reporter speaking who had just been reporting for 1 year. I remember who it was, Cynthia Dunbar, who is still a DRA member. I think she comes to our events. And she was talking about how she really never felt like she would pass the test, but she worked hard and she studied and she practiced on her machine. And if she could do it, then so could you. And within a year, I was at the state test. So I just, when I see those students there and so many of them are saying, I'm at 170, I'm at 180, I'm like, you know what? Next time, next year, you might be here as a reporter volunteer.
Yeah.
So,
and that's so important to give back, right?
Yes.
And you've given back so much. I try to do the same. And it's the 80-20 rule. Not everybody's going to do that, but I think really it helps you, and you never know. Like Cynthia, if she's listening or watching this, she probably has no idea what an effect she had on you.
I don't think she does. So if you're watching this, Cynthia, you were very inspiring to me.
Yeah.
It really,
you never know what you're going to
inspired
say that just pushes somebody just that little edge more that
Absolutely. Something I always like to say to students that I think resonates. I say, you know what the difference is between you and me is every day you sit down at that machine or at your voice mask and you pay tuition to use it. The only difference is I get paid to use my equipment. So flip the switch. Flip the switch.
Yep.
You're almost there. And I see that light and that flicker of recognition in a student's eyes when they realize that there's just so very little that separates us.
Yeah.
they're just one test away, one really big, really scary, really stressful, really hard test away, but you're almost there. So I just encourage anybody who is feeling really stymied and stuck on this journey. It's the best job in the world. I was a single
Better
mom.
than Uber.
Better than Uber, just a little bit. There's fewer creepy guys that will try and get you to drive them to Mexico or to drive through a wedding chapel or crazy stuff. But like at the end of the day, like I raised a child by myself on this job. We traveled, we did so many things. And I just remember being so poor and struggling so hard and being like a young mom, and I couldn't buy Benny shoes. And I remember just crying to him and saying, God, I'm so sorry. I can't even buy you a pair of shoes. And he was like 7 or 8 years old, and he looked at me and he said, Mom, it's okay, because if we had a whole bunch of money, then what would we have to look forward to?
Oh.
And I feel like here we are. We got to what we had to look forward to. So many years later, I have everything I ever could have dreamed of. I have a fantastic new car. I bought a house. I've traveled the world. I have a great husband. I have a great career. I have, I'm not a millionaire, but I don't have to think about money on a regular basis. And that's what this career has done for me. It's given me so many gifts. So I just think that anybody who is looking for a career, don't be an attorney. Trust me. I told my stepson the other day, he's like, maybe I should be an attorney. I'm like, no, don't do it. I'm like,
you won't be as happy as we are.
No, I mean, just the billable hours alone. I'm like, you'll just die of stress at 55. Don't do it. And I say that joking. I know so many fantastic attorneys that have some kind of work-life balance, but at the same time, I just think that we have the best career that no one's ever heard of. So I feel very, very blessed.
Well, one thing that there was a man named Mark, one of the teachers at South Coast when I was going there, and he's since passed on, but he said, this is the only career that you can make money and still have the freedom and the time to spend it.
Yes.
As opposed
so
to you're
true.
just constantly working and you never can enjoy it, so yeah, I love that.
It's so true. I mean, I think about, sure, I don't get paid on my days off, but like when we go on vacation, I don't have to ask permission. I don't have to get the days blocked off. I don't have to go through all the rigmarole of the corporate ladder. Sometimes I hear my husband on the phone in his corporate job talking about the North Star and synergies, and I'm like, oh God, like kill me now. I'm so grateful I have nobody to answer to. And we like to make jokes about how he's always carrying on with my boss, and it's kind of fun. Like being your own boss is such a fun thing. So yes. I love it. I love being my own boss. He's like, your boss is a real difficult person. I'm like,
exactly.
Watch it. Exactly. But I feel very blessed.
Yes, we are.
It's a great job. And you know what else? It's brought me a lot of amazing friends like you. And I think of all of our friend set, all of these people that I respect and admire. My best friend, I feel very blessed to know her. And I got to say, it's helpful to have friends that are in similar industries, because we are able to, with similar incomes, we're able to travel in the same way, shop in the same way. So we do a lot of shopping together, which is fun. So I just feel very blessed. I know a lot of really smart, savvy, business-oriented, thoughtful people, and that's what this career has given me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yes, thanks for coming on. And if you've not liked and subscribed yet, please do. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We look forward to the next one.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.